So for this video, I'm going to talk about the Mount Hood Community College Canopy data for lesson 7 and how we correct, well, a couple things. One is download some data from Metro RLIS, extract by mask a raster data set. So it's going to be very similar to clipping a feature. But since this is a raster, which has value versus size and shape, we have to use a slightly different tool, which requires spatial analyst to do. And then the last part would be to correct the projections of a couple layers so that we don't have spatial alignment issues. These are all fundamental things that we need to do before we start to edit, which will be what we're going to start next week when we start creating data or manipulating existing data. So up to this point, we haven't really changed any information. We might have eliminated information with selections and those types of things, but we have not created data, and we have not gotten rid of data or manipulated it in any fashion. So I'm going to start us off here with homework 6 data folder. And I have a few more things in here because I've added a few things just to speed up the process. And you'll be able to see, what we end up with in the final results here. So the one that I wanted you to add first was this mosaic, which is 2 high resolution aerial images from Metro. These are 6-inch resolution. So if you zoom into these, you'll actually be able to see, with 6-inch resolution, you can tell the difference between, vehicle types. So you can see a pickup truck here and an SUV and so forth. Can't really distinguish what type vehicle, what kind of model make vehicle that is, but you can at least discern where lines are and roads. So if you needed to digitize this next week, we could actually do that. So I'm just going to back us up here a couple steps. So whatever data you add to your data frame, ArcGIS assumes that projection, and you can go in and actually change this, but the projection of that is you're able to see that in the layer properties of the data frame here, and it's under our coordinate system. And so this one is in NAD 83 UTM zone 10, which is what we're going to put all of our data into in terms of that particular coordinate system, and that would be a projected coordinate system. So this is just kind of setting you up for being a good GIS user. And also when you get toward the final, you're going to need to correct projections and get all of your data into the same projection. So once you add that layer, the other layer that you have is this tax lots ownership. That's the one that's given to you. So when I drop that in here, you're going to get this error, which is going to show up anytime you take a data set that has a different coordinate system. So this one is in a geographic coordinate system, North American datum 1983 HARN. And GIS is going to give you this warning, which basically says, hey, you might have some accuracy and alignment issues. We can project this on the fly. What do you want to do? So at this point, I'm going to just say close and let GIS project that. And you're going to find that it actually lines up pretty darn well. It may have some slight variation when it's compared to, when we actually project it in the correct projection. And then when we download the Canopy information, I've just drug it over and put it into here already. So you can, since it's in a geodatabase, you can just actually drag it from where I had it here down here in this Canopy file here. So So I had it here in this Canopy geodatabase. All I had to do is right click on it and I can copy it, and then I can move it up. It's a little bit big, but I can just paste it into this geodatabase, which is super nice. So when I drag the Canopy 2014 information in there, I'm going to get the same error because it's in a geographic coordinate system that is the same as our tax lot information. So we're going to go ahead and hit close. So that throws those two things in there. Not in the correct projection, but GIS is doing the alignment correction for you. The first thing you're going to want to do if you look at this is you get all these tax lots here. You want to dissolve those tax lots, so that I'm going to go up to geoprocessing and dissolve. And I'm just going to dissolve the tax lot ownership. So I'm going to pick that tax lot ownership. I'm going to send that to a geodatabase. Well, it makes the most sense to send it to the geodatabase that we're calling Mosaic, right? Send it into this Mosaic geodatabase since we started with that, and just throw in there a feature class. I've called it MHCC ownership. So I'm not going to do it again because it'll bog my computer down. But once I do that, you're going to end up with this file right here. It's still in that coordinate system, so it's going to throw an error. But once it's dissolved, you see the lines in the inside go away. Now I can use this as my clipping tool, and I can actually just get rid of this tax lot ownership. So I'm going to remove that from my table of contents just so I keep things a little cleaner over here on the left side. The next thing I would want to do is actually extract by mask the canopy layer. I'm just going to set this to hollow so we can see that, because I just want the canopy information that's within the MHCC ownership. So to do that, I need to use a tool in Arc Toolbox that's down in Spatial Analyst. So it's within our Spatial Analyst tools, and it's going to be extract by mask. Okay. You might have an error that will show up that says you do not have permission or a license to use this. So where you need to go is up to Customize, Extensions, and you need to make sure that 3D Analyst and Spatial Analyst are both enabled, and then go ahead and hit close. And that will allow us to use the Spatial Analyst tool. So once I go back here to Toolbox, I'm going to extract by mask. And this is very similar to a clip. So our input raster is going to be our 2014 canopy layer. You could, do the 2 aerial images as well. And so you might want to do that for future projects, which is kind of nice. And then the mask feature would be the MHCC ownership. So I'm going to set that. And then again, I'm just going to rename this, send it to not the default geodatabase, but back to my Mosaic geodatabase. And I called this MHCC Canopy 2014. Again, I'm not going to run it because it takes a little bit of time and will slow the video down here. So I'm going to throw that MHCC 2014 layer in there. It's going to ask me, do I want to build pyramids? Yes, I do. Again, it's in the wrong coordinate system, so we're going to have a problem with that, but that's okay. GIS will project on the fly. And we will be able to see now our canopy data is cut to the MHCC ownership. Now, it should be noted when we zoom into here, since those are rasters, right? They're cells with value. It doesn't actually cut it off, and so you'll see where those rasters are varying, and some might be missing, and some might actually be present, but it doesn't cut it off like a clip does. The next step would be that we want to now correct these projections so that we don't end up with those errors. So we're going to take these 2 files here, I'm just going to remove this as well as I'm cleaning things up here. I'm going to take these two files, and now we're going to use projections and transformations to correct the projections of these two files, so a feature and a raster, so that it is the same as this mosaic data set, which if you remember, if you don't, we can always go into the layer properties here, and we can look at what is the projection of this raster data set. So you're gonna have to zoom or scroll down here, and we see that it's in NAD83 UTM zone 10. So that's what we want to put our other two, one feature and one raster, into that same projection. So the tool that we're going to use is under Arc Toolbox again, and we want to use, it's under Data Management Tools, and it's under Projections and Transformations. And with this current version of the software, they've everything that's a raster is under this little plus raster. And this is ways that you can manipulate the individual raster, but we want to actually just go project raster. So that's the tool we're going to use for our MHCC Canopy 2014. So project raster, again, I'm going to put my input raster in there as the MHCC 2014. It picks up, there's what the coordinate system is currently. Where do you want it to go? Well, I'm going to put it back into that mosaic. This time I'm going to title it MHCC Canopy 2014, and I'm going to note that it's in UTM. Again, I'm not going to do that because I don't want it to run. That will actually fix then what do you want your output coordinate system to be? Well, we're going to have to specify it. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. One is you might have a favorites list up here. This is the projection that we want. Another is you can look at the current layers that are in here, and it's going to show you, well, here's the three projections that we have with those current layers. We want to use this one right here at the bottom. The third option is you could import it. So you could import it from, your desktop, go back into, or wherever your data is. So I'm just going to go to this homework 6 folder, which I'm not navigating to the right location. So let me go back to my desktop, get to the right thing. There we go, homework 6 data. And I want to grab that mosaic layer, right, which is in this mosaic geodatabase. And then here it is, mosaics. When I click on that, hit add, it finds it there, and I hit OK. And then it's going to do the transformation. So that there's 3 ways. The fourth way, which is I would highly not recommend, is to go actually find it here in the projected coordinate system, UTM, NAD83, zone 10 north, okay? But that would be another option. And then you're going to hit OK. So I'm going to hit cancel at this point because I don't want it to actually do it. But then what you'll end up with is we were doing the canopy information, so we're going to drag this over. I'm going to show you here in a minute once that reprojects. So I'm just going to remove that. Now when I have this in the UTM coordinate, when I drag this over, I do not get that error that I did get when I drug this layer over because the coordinate system was different. Okay, so that's what we're trying to remedy. We're trying to remedy that by putting it in the correct coordinate system. Then the last thing we need to do is reproject this MHCC ownership. That is, with this newer version, it used to say right here, feature class. So it does not anymore. So any of these tools here are intended for a feature class. You don't want to define a projection. That would be if the actual feature class did not have a projection and it was unknown. So we want to actually just project. So we're going to click project. And here we're going to put in our input is going to be MHCC ownership. So we're going to make that MHCC ownership. Again, it fills that out. We're going to send that back to our mosaic geodatabase. Here I called it MHCC ownership UTM, just like I did with the Canopy, right? Adding that tag at the end. And then again, just grab that coordinate system. Now that you know what it is, it should show up here in your favorites, and you can just select that one and it will do the conversion for you. So again, I'm going to hit cancel, but if I hit OK, what you're going to end up with is this MHCC ownership UTM. Now, when I drag this in and drop it, I do not get that error, which is what we're looking for. So I'm going to make that hollow, give it a boundary, color line, and there we have it. We've created our, we can maybe zoom to layer here, and we can remove this layer. And now I have my 3 layers all in the same coordinate system, showing the campus, and I have my mosaic of my not my mosaic, my canopy layer clipped to the campus. So from here, you just need to change the symbology of the canopy layer. So you're going to do that so that it is something that is more relevant to a tree, say. That's probably not the greatest one, but definitely pick something with some colors that are green, and then start to build your map, okay, for the MHCC campus canopy. And what I'll probably do this week is, once you've turned in your assignments, I will add a map that I've created to give you some ideas of some of the characteristics that I would like to see in your maps. But for the most part, everybody's maps have been really, really good. And so keep up the great work. Hopefully that helps. And please stop in office hours if you have any questions. Thank you.